guys, what is going on? Blossom is back, and welcome back to another episode of Top Drives and another episode of what can you get from that pack. Today's pack in question is, of course, the final carbon fiber for the BAC Mono, and ultimately I'm pretty happy about this event as a whole. I like the car pool and I like the prize car. I think the only thing, and I like the track sets too, and I think the only thing, there are two bad things that I don't like. Number one, the tier 3 and tier 4 epic prize cars are horrible. I think it's like an Aston Martin and an Audi that is worse than the Aston Martin. I think it's something like that. It's really forgettable, you know, the tier 3 epic. So yeah, I think those are the only two things. Recently, I think we've become accustomed as players where the tier 3 and tier 4 epics are pretty good. Well, not in this case. I think it's actually kind of useless. Okay, on top of that, I think another thing that is a little bit annoying is that, yes, you know, the prize pool is fun and the track set is consistent, you know, like there's an Ocean City streets on every single track set. So I like that consistency. It's all dry. It's all asphalt. But then again, it will make a lot of the cars useless. Basically, if you have standard tires, four-wheel drive standard, or rear-wheel drive standard, you are going to suffer. And it kind of makes, because there's no rain in this final, it kind of makes the half of the pack kind of useless in terms of a opening for a final standpoint. That being said, I'm going to show you right now, these are the best cars for the final. Now, the best possible hand, in my opinion, if you can get everything fully upgraded, would be these right here. It would be the AMG GT4, the Panamera, the Porsche Taycan, the V8 Quattro, and the Giulia GTA. Now, here's the thing. A lot of times when I do a video like this, people say, oh, I actually have a lot of cars in the bottom tiers that won me prize cars. The thing is, I'm not saying that if you have only cars or only cars in the first rank will win you the prize car. I'm just basically showing you the best possible hand if you can max every single car out and you don't have any duplicates. So this actually is the best possible hand. It's the Audi all the way to the Mercedes. Now, what I have here is realistic prize car winning or realistic prize car winning. And these are cars where I can definitely see, like, if you own them and you had them in the final and you won the prize car, I wouldn't be surprised. Not many players would have exactly these 5 cars. I only have 2 out of the 5. So let me know down in the comments below, how many of those do you actually have? So realistic prize car winning are cars like the Charger widebody, the car that I can never get, the Alpha 156 GTA, the Holden HSV, the M3s, the 840, the Taycan, and the Alpha. Reason for that being, the HSV and the 840 are both really great options for the Ocean City streets. In fact, the HSV is the second best option behind the Panamera if you can max the Panamera. The 840 isn't the third best option, but because it brings so much value by being so cheap to upgrade, I think a lot of players might be having this car as kind of like their lose by 50. Some other cars which are really, really good would be the 156, which is the second best option on the Slalom. Second after the Quattro, you have the Charger, second best drag after the Taycan, and that's mainly because the Taycan has an incredibly low 0 to 60 that the Charger just cannot keep up with. And then you've cars like the M3 Competition, X-Drive, and the Saloon, both the Epic and the Legendary, that are actually second to the Giulia GTA and the AMG GT4 respectively. Not enough by themselves include some of the stronger ultra rares, or one of the stronger ultra, or the strongest ultra rare, and some of the better epics as well, and the specialist epic and the A-Bar. Not too high in our queue, but it knows where it wants to be. Unlikely are basically all the four-wheel drive cars, whether it's standard or performance, and then good luck are all the four-wheel drive cars that are standard or performance that are kind of the lower end. So this is the higher end, and this is the lower end stuff. So yeah, in my opinion, this is the best possible hand, these 5 cars that you see over here. But I think that a lot of us are going to be winning the BAC Mono as long as you have any of the cars in the first 2 tiers. Maybe cars in the third, but definitely no more than maybe one of them. But anyway, guys, now let's review the pack in a personal sense. So, like I said, I do like the pack pull and the car pull here, and I think that's mainly because I love saloons. I have a bias towards saloons. I like them. I'm actually going to be buying a saloon soon, so stay tuned for that. I don't want to jinx it, so knock on wood. Hopefully everything with just I hope the process just comes out nice. But if that does happen, I will be owning a saloon of myself. It will be my second car ever. My first car was a saloon anyway, so yeah, I freaking love saloons. But anyway, let's talk about the pack in general. The first one is going to be the Alpha 155. Now, once again, guys, a disclaimer: when I do these videos, it's always my personal opinion. I would always put in some times as well to give you guys some reference, but for the most part, this is my personal opinion, so you can take the advice or not. It really is up to you. But I just like to share my personal thoughts and my personal, I guess, experiences with all of these cars in the game. All right, and a lot of these cars are relatively new. I've actually not owned many of them, like the Dodge. Anyway, Alpha 155 GTA Stradale is a frequent provider, and the main thing is it handles well. It has four-wheel drive. Cannot go wrong with that. Alpha 159 is pernicious ulcer. The ulcer is gone from my tongue, by the way, so I can talk now. But my voice is a little bit raspy because I did teach 2 high energy boxing classes today. So yeah, it's pernicious ulcer on in my end. The Visconti is next, and for the Visconti, I'm giving it hot garbage. Now, the thing about the 159 is at least it's medium ground clearance, and it still handles better than the Visconti. Visconti is a way lower 0 to 60, but it handles worse, and it's low ground clearance, and it has no MRI. So in my opinion, is hot garbage. Next up is the Audi A3 Saloon, and although it is an Audi, and contrary to popular beliefs, I actually think this car is pretty good. 4-wheel drive, standard tires, medium ground clearance, and handles quite well. Also relatively cheap as a lower to mid-range ultra rare. That is pretty decent value, and it's the same thing for the A4, so I'm going to put both of these in frequent provider. The A4 isn't too bad as well. It is slightly worse than the A4 Saloon, so I'm going to put the A4 1.8 here in pernicious ulcer. I remember putting it in frequent provider before, but I think that was before Enter the Black Forest. This is World Expo only. This is Enter the Black Forest, where it is, well, better because it handles better. Yes, the A4 will be better on like the drags and stuff, but I think, guys, everyone watching, I think we're more mature to even ask that question, because we're not going to put these cars on the drag, let's be honest. Audi S6 Plus is hot garbage. V8 is hot garbage. The Quattros are all hot garbage. The last time I used the Quattro 3.6 was for a special tag challenge, and I cannot even remember what the special tag challenge was. I want to say Summer Games. It might not be, might be Year of the Rabbit. Was 1988 Year of the Rabbit? I don't think it was. I think it was 87. I can't remember anymore because 99 was, so I think 87. Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember what the Quattro was used for. I used it for one special tag challenge. I actually maxed 2 because of that challenge. Literally never used it since. The end. Next up is the 530e Saloon, pernicious ulcer. The only thing about the Saloon is, why is it 63 RQ? It doesn't have a good top speed, doesn't have good MRA, 0 to 60 is bleh, and the handling is really bad. I mean, it gets out-handled by these Audis that are way cheaper. The 530e is a very mid-range kind of ultra rare, so 63 is completely overrated. If it goes down in RQ and it ends up being like a 57, or maybe like, I don't know, 59 max, the frequent provider, fine. But yeah, definitely not pernicious ulcer. I don't care what the 0 to 60 says, it's just not good enough. 550i is pernicious ulcer. Again, the only thing that this thing brings to the table is medium ground clearance. 760i is also a pernicious ulcer. Everyone thinks that this car is MRA, myself included. It doesn't have MRA, so yeah. 840i Grand Coupe, yeah, Der Kaiser, 1,000,000%. I got this car recently, so it's been a car I've been looking for quite a while, and it's amazing. BMW 5 M235 is actually pretty strong. Basically a discount version of the Nissan R33 Skyline. But they both operate in the same place because they're all 4-wheel drive with low ground clearance. Moving on is the Charger Scat Pack. This is the daily driver. This is a fantastic car. This basically is, remember what the Aston Martin Rapide S used to be before World Expo and all those updates? That's what the Scat Pack is now. It's just your best ultra rare, low ground clearance saloon with performance tires. That's it. It is the best in class. So a part of me actually wants to put it to der Kaiser, but I know everyone's going to call me super biased because it's a Dodge, so I'm going to put it as a very high daily driver. Charger Super B is a frequent provider. It's not horrible, but definitely, like, if I had extra RQ to use, I'd just go 3 more and play the safe route of the Scat Pack. Now, one thing to note though is that these two cars have very similar MRA, so if you do have a Super B, I would truly recommend to go 332. It actually beats the Scat Pack, so on a quarter mile, and so I think it would beat it on the half mile and the 1 mile too. So I would go 332 on the Super B, 233 on the Scat Pack. But of course, if you have multiple Scat Packs, if you have 12, for example, like I do, then I think it doesn't really matter. You can do whatever upgrades you want. Then with the Falcon, so the Falcon XR8 Sprint is a very respectable medium ground clearance car. And for that, I'm going to give it daily driver. The main reason is because of that super low 0 to 60 for only RQ61. Basically almost the same 0 to 60 as a Scat Pack, but it also comes with medium ground clearance. It is a fantastic car for the city street small, less strong on the medium, but for the small, it is great value. I think it's a daily driver. Falcon is okay. I'm gonna give it freaking provider. The FPV F6 is also a fantastic machine, basically a discount version of the Scat Pack, and it is cheaper to use in RQ, so it makes sense. FPV I think is pretty damn good as well. I would say that these three, like the Charger, FPV F6, and the GS, they all are very similar. They're all just really good for their RQ as low ground clearance rear-wheel drive saloons. They all go over 90 handling, and they all have respectable top speeds and okay 0 to 60s. I say okay, but the Scat Pack and the FPV have really good 0 to 60s for their RQ. I just think that the FPV GS 5.1 seconds is a little bit bleh. All right, moving on is the FPV GT Cobra Spec, and for the same reasons, I'm all going to put them here. I think rear-wheel drive saloon low ground clearance is actually a pretty strong niche. And it actually is quite strong, so yeah. Basically, next is the FPV GTP, and I'm also going to put it here as well. Next up is the Holden Caprice Hot Garbage. The Caprice WN is all right. It's not that special. Honestly, it's very similar to the Alpha in my opinion. It's just the Alpha is 4-wheel drive. The Caprice is rear-wheel drive. They're both medium. They both have 80 handling. Their 0 to 60s are both bleh. Next up is the Commodore. Commodore is all right. It has medium ground clearance, and it definitely has gotten some usage in my garage, but I wouldn't say it's daily drive. I think it's just average. The Club Sport as well, I think, is relatively average. It is the highest handling medium ground clearance saloon though, at 84. I don't think there is any that is higher than that, which is really impressive. The only thing about it is that the 0 to 60 is relatively weak. I think it's kind of like the opposite of the Falcon, so maybe I'll put them together. So the Falcon is your city street small guy, but your Club Sport is the city street's medium guy. Moving on is the Continental Concept Hog Garbage, man. Rear-wheel drive standard, no. I'm also going to put the Lincoln MKS here, mainly because you cannot go wrong with standard tires, 4-wheel drive, and decent handling as well. Panamera, I'm going to go frequent provider. Definitely has been useful for me because of that medium ground clearance and really good handling as well. Now we move on to Epics. I'll go through the Epics really quickly. There are a lot of garbage Epics here, so I'll go through the trash first. So Audi, garbage. Now guys, I want to be honest, I am doing this through tunnel vision, so if there are any Audis that are actually good that is going through my radar, you can let me know down in the comments below. But right now I'm kind of in I see Audi and it's probably garbage. I think that's all of it. So then I'll move on to the BMWs because I don't want to waste my time and your time talking about all these garbage cars. So are there any? Yep. They're basically the rear-wheel drive standard tire cars. They're definitely going to the bottom. Nothing to say that, you know, they're bad cars in terms of stats. Just that rear-wheel drive standard tire cars are just the absolute freaking worst. That's garbage too. That's garbage too. Four-wheel drive. Am I missing anything else? Nope. We'll put that there as well for safe measures. Okay, we don't need to talk about those cars anymore. The M550i has a very strong 0 to 60. I'm going to give it a freaking provider. It's actually a car that I've been looking for quite some time. Well, basically since I saw the update. I would like it in my garage. Handling could be better, but everything about it looks pretty promising. The Alpha 156 GTA is definitely a daily driver. It is the second best car for the slalom in the entire final right now. It is a very good slalom car. A car that I'm even thinking about going 323 because it basically is like a slalom super light, if that makes sense. Like, it's just a ridiculous ridiculously good slalom saloon, non-prize. The GTA obviously is the Kaiser. The RS4B7 actually is a frequent provider. It's actually okay. It's very RQ73, and I don't think it's an overinflated four-wheel drive car. Now, next up is the S5 Sportback. Ugh. I mean, look, it's the same RQ as the B7, but it's got a worse handling and worse 0 to 60. I get it. One is low, one is medium, but still, handling could be better. I'm going to put it in pernicious ulcer. Same with these two. They're pernicious ulcer on my end. The main thing is that although they have strong 0 to 60s, their handling really is terrible. Then this one is next. I think this one actually is a frequent provider. It is one of the better, if not one of the best low RQ cars. Great value, 85 handling, four-wheel drive and standard for a for a standard car. I mean, then we have the rest of the BMW. So I'll go through the BMWs really quickly. I think the main ones that are really decent are going to be the 76, which is the 74. Now this is one, the 740 LD. I know the handling is crap, but this reminds me of that 79 BMW. I think the 750, which, like, yeah, it looks bad on paper, but it actually is pretty damn good. Again, it is very impressive. I should be showing you some of the times. So for the Saloon rear-wheel drive stuff, I already have it here. And for the Saloon four-wheel drive stuff, I've already compared it over here. Basically, the Taycan's the best of the bunch. And then that's it. The rest of this is just a comparison for the final. I didn't do much of a test for the standard tire stuff. Most of this is just going off memory. Now, moving on. Ooh, this is the wrong tab. Yeah, this is the right tab. Next up, we have these ones. So all of these BMWs with 77 handling, I'm all going to put them kind of in the same category together. What I will say is this though, these three BMWs all have 77 handling, and definitely this 320 is the best bargain because it has the same handling as the 77 and the 74 RQ, but it's a lot cheaper to use. Obviously there's a big difference in the 0 to 60, but again, these are not dry cars. At the end of the day though, the 77 is going to be the 74 and the 74 is going to be the 66. What I'm just saying is that the blue one definitely is the best bargain. Next up is the 730, and this is also going to be a frequent provider. I think the main reason why the 740 just tends to stand out is of that, you know, ridiculously low 0 to 60 for a four-wheel drive behemoth of a Saloon. M340D actually isn't too bad. I've used it multiple times in Saloon events, and it actually isn't too bad. Performance tires, yes, it's four-wheel drive, so it is a little bit inflated in RQ, but the 0 to 60 is okay, and the handling is alright. I think it's 3.792 when you max it out, which is actually pretty competitive, because I do have it max, so I am speaking from experience. Same thing with this one as well. Okay, moving on to the M3 competition Saloon. That's going to be daily driver. I think it's really, really good. Basically just a discount version of the Alpha Giulia GTA. Of course, they're both low ground clearance. The M550, now this made a very good impression in a final. I forgot what was the price car. Maybe Imola, but it was pretty good there. The main thing that, like, I just feel kind of wrong because, like, I feel like they should be in the bottom with those Audis. I don't know though, because here's the thing, right? Like, you look at these two together, 4381 to 4282. This is 74. This is 71. So, like, ideally, this is the better car. They're both low ground clearance, if I remember correctly. So, like, yeah, definitely this MD1 is just going to stay in a higher rank because you are getting so much more bargain. Di Tommaso, this is going to be, I would say, daily driver because of how freaking niche it is as a four-wheel drive standard tire Italian car. That is your best option. That is the benchmark for standard tire Italian cars with medium ground clearance as well. And it handles pretty well. So, yeah, it's actually pretty good daily driver. Obviously, the wide body is Der Kaiser. It is absolutely amazing. The A-Barf is a frequent provider. The main thing is, as a Saloon, I would say if I'm just judging by Saloons and I'm only comparing by cars in this pack, I'll bump it up to daily driver, but I'm not. I'm judging this pack in a general sense, and there's just so many more slick tire rear-wheel drive cars that are better than, you know, the A-Barf, and they are better Saloons compared to the A-Barf. Although it's a great bargain, if I could, I would still choose the M3 competition, the Alpha Giulia GTA, and the Charger SRT, etc., etc., etc. Moving on, the Falcon is, I want to take pernicious ulcer. It brings the same value as this one, the Falcon XAR8 Sprint. The only reason that I'm putting this way lower, well, maybe I put it in freaking provider. The only reason why I can't put them together, even though they bring similar value, is because one car is just a lot harder to upgrade. Now we move on to the Holdens, and let's be honest, guys. After these Sauber C9 finals, how useful have these Holdens actually been? Exactly, the answer is not useful at all. Besides the green ones are useful. But anything that isn't the green, I want to say pernicious ulcer almost. I own these two cars max, so I know what it's like experiencing and owning these cars firsthand. Non-existent. I literally never use them. So yeah, pernicious ulcer. They've been useless to me since the C9 final, even though they did win me the prize car. Lincolns, now these Lincolns are new, so it's pretty tough to really gauge how good these Lincolns are going to be. One thing that I know for certain is that all of them respectively and all of them collectively are worse than the Cadillac CT6. So that's already a huge blow. It definitely isn't worth the highest of the rank. So I'm just going to give it frequent provider, mainly because they are all medium ground clearance, they're all four-wheel drive, they're all Senate tires, and I think they're borderline on the okay handling. The Lincoln Continental is good. The Continental concept and the MKZ concept, 75 handling for 78 and 77 RQ, it's a little bit sus. Any day of the week, I would rather choose the BMWs with 77. That being said, the saving grades for the concept, MKZ concept, is that it's a 4.80 to 0 to 60, which makes it lower than every car here, even including the 740 LD. So that's actually pretty interesting. In fact, I want to put these two cars together almost. Maybe. They just feel like sleeper four-wheel drive cars. Next up is the Taycan 4S. That is going to be a daily driver, and then the Taycan GTS, which in my opinion is the top dog, Der Kaiser. I've shown you the times very briefly, as you can see. Wrong one. There you go over here. It's really good. It goes blow for blow with the Subaru. I wouldn't even say blow for blow. It actually just wins more of it overall. And then the other one, of course, would be this rear-wheel drive comparison, where, as you can see, the best dragster is the Hellcat. The Julia is the best for the Twisty. There really isn't much of a comparison over here. And obviously, we have the Caterham with the Saloons, which is the Alpha GTA, which is the best on the slalom. So yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, moving on to legendaries now. We have the Alpha 155. In my opinion, it's a frequent provider. It's really good if you can max it out, or at least if you can max the handling. If you can max the handling out, it'll be like daily driver. The only issue is, do you really want to spend 6 epics minimum for a car like this? So that's the thing, right? It's because it's so expensive to upgrade, I'm knocking it down a tier. But if you can upgrade it, then it will be fantastic. Next up, the Audi RS3 Saloon. Ooh, this is an interesting one. I think the biggest factor about the RS3 Saloon is it is medium ground clearance. 0 to 60 is a little weak. Handling could be better, but it is medium ground clearance. That's the thing. No. Frequent provider. Again, you know, if I had to choose a Saloon with medium ground clearance, I'd use the Evo hand on heart. Next up is the Audi V8 Quattro. This one's actually pretty good. I'm going to give it a daily driver. Once again, it would be Der Kaiser if you can max it out. The 330D is Der Kaiser, like, well, 1,000,000%. But then again, it is not fair for me to do this judging because it's only Der Kaiser if you can max it out. If you have this thing at 1 star, it's still going to lose to epics. So if I were to judge... The thing is that 330D is really definitive. If you max it out, it is the best, or it is at least the second best only to the 750. The issue with the Audi RS3 is, yeah, if you max it out, the Evos are still better. And the Taycans are better too. I'll move it up. If I'm judging this BMW by how good it is, if it's maxed out, I should judge the RS3 by the same. But then if I judge the Audi V8 Quattro by how good it is, if it's maxed out, then I would put it up to Der Kaiser. So let's keep it consistent. I'll judge all these if you could max them out. But I'll also need to remember at how hard these cars are maxing out, especially with the RQ80 crap. The 545E is daily driver. It's just not as good as the 750. The 745 is frequent provider. The M3 competition is going to be daily driver. I know it's tough. And then the AMG is going to be Der Kaiser. Panamera GTS, I'm going to give it 3.786 ain't too bad though, to be fair. Yeah, I'll give it daily driver. It's 95 handling and like 3.0 0 to 60. This one is going to be frequent provider. I don't care. If you max that car out, it's still going to be trash. It has the same stats as the 959, and we all know how I feel about the 959. Last but not least, the Taycan Turbo S is going to be Der Kaiser. But anyway, guys, that is going to be my opinion and my personal opinion on the pack and how useful these cards are in a general sense. At the end of the day, if I unpack any of these cards from the top 2 ranks from the pack, I will be pretty happy. And you know, I've been all right. Like I've unpacked the GTA twice. I've unpacked this one, but not from the Saloon pack, but I've unpacked it before. Scat pack I have many of. I've already unpacked the FPV. I've also unpacked what else? The Alpha, the MKZ, the Lincoln. So there are some pretty decent cards in here, but definitely a lot of things to look out for as well. Main thing to note is that cards like the 320D are actually pretty good in my opinion, great value. It's just that I put them on the lower ranks because they are just lower RQ epics and nobody wants to max them out, myself included. I wouldn't want to. But anyway guys, that's going to be it for today. I hope you guys have a great day. Let me know if you agree or disagree with what I'm saying over here, but remember, hope you guys have a great day. But stay safe, wash your hands, and blossom out. Peace.
Bro, this song just makes me so happy.
Me too.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Sit back, relax in my Bonneville.